Hi, I'm Brian from Atomic-Moto, and I'm here to do our dogfight between the Alpinestars Corozal and the Forma Adventure boot. So in this comparison, we'll break down all the details and the construction of these two. We'll talk about how they work on the bike, and in the end of this, we'll tell you our thoughts on them. We'd also love to hear your thoughts in the comments below this video, but let me dive in with some of the basics. The Forma Adventure comes in sizes 5 through 14. The Alpinestars Corozal comes in sizes 7 through 13. The Adventure is a little bit lighter. It's 2.64 pounds for this size 10, 2.98 pounds for this Corozal 10. And the Adventure is made in Romania. The Corozal is made in Vietnam. Talking about the construction of the two, there's a lot of similarities in the construction. Now, both of them are made with oil tan leather. You see this brown color on both of them, has a little bit of a nice soft feel to it. They're both waterproof. They each use their own Italian branded private label membrane. Forma calls theirs Drytex, and I believe Alpinestars is Drystar. Both boots have a glued on sole with a lugging pattern. I'll show you some pictures here, drop it in, but you can see that lugging pattern on them both. The Forma has a little bit more of a heel to it. The Forma uses 3 buckles, 3 plastic buckles. The Alpinestars is 2 buckles and a Velcro closure at the top. The buckle's a little bit more secure. Velcro gives it a little bit more adjustment at the tops of the calf. And as you can see, they're both about the same height. Regarding the protective structure of the two boots, now the Forma uses cup-shaped inserts on the ankle on the inner and outer malleolus. You can see that right here. Corozal does that on the inner side of the malleolus, has a little reinforcement here, but then has a bit of a plastic structure, Alpinestars tongue and groove system that they use here along the ankle. Both boots have plastic shin plates. The Alpinestars is a little bit firmer than the Forma's. Forma's a little bit softer. They both have inserts here under the toe. You can't see it, it's underneath the leather. Both of them have plastic pieces for the shifter on both the left and the right boot. That gives it a little bit more toe support also. Both boots have inserts here under the heel counter and some padding on the back of the calf area. Now, many of those construction details are similar. Let me start to talk about how the two boots are different. The Corozal definitely has more midsole support. It's definitely harder to flex the toe on this boot, whereas the Forma Adventure flexes quite easily. The Corozal has much more internal padding underneath it. The shell of this boot does not have lots of external padding on it. That's part of the reason why it's lighter. In addition to that, the Corozal, by virtue of its plastic structure here on the outer side of the ankle, has a bit more ankle support and a bit more shaft support that you can see here. The Forma Adventure is pretty soft in the shaft. Really. I mentioned that they both have a lug sole. Now the Forma sole is definitely more aggressively lugged, and as you can see here, I'll hold this up for camera too, there's a bit of a heel on it. It has a little bit more height to it when you're standing, so this will make you slightly taller. And then the other difference about the two is this extra padding on the inside. I mentioned this once, but I want to just say it again to really drive the point home. This boot just feels a little bit more stiff when you put it on. Regarding the fit between the two, this one, the Forma Adventure, is definitely more wide. This is one of the widest boots out there. Has a nice wide toe box. I'll hold that up for camera too. And it has a fair bit of vertical height in the forefoot. And that vertical height helps people who have a wider foot, helps accommodate that wider foot shape. The Forma Adventure is slimmer in the calf area. It fits under pants a little bit more easily. This is not a bulky boot. It'll fit under most adventure. It'll fit under any adventure touring pant. It'll fit under most jeans or work pants. But the Adventure is definitely a little bit slimmer. The Corozal may be a little slimmer at the toe. It's not a big difference, but it is a little bit slimmer in the toe. However, because this has a little bit more flex both in the ankle area and in the toe, it's probably about the same for shifting. Some subjective comments on how comfortable they are. Now, the Adventure, in my opinion, is a more comfortable boot. It has less weight, it has a little bit more width, it's got a little bit softer flex. And the best thing that I can come up with, the best analogy that I can use to describe these is these feel like if Merrell made a motorcycle boot. That is what this Forma Adventure would feel like. It has that real normal hiking shoe, approach shoe kind of feel to it. The Corozal has a little bit more of a traditional motorcycle boot feel because of all the internal padding and the slightly stiffer structure. You definitely notice that this boot has more going on. It's more less casual shoe and more motorcycle boot. Now, it's still a very comfortable boot, but really these feel like a casual shoe and these feel like an adventure touring boot. And going along with that, these are much easier to walk in. That frontal flex, that forefoot flex that I was talking about, gives it a really natural walking motion, and then the lightweight helps also. This really is easy to hike around. If you're going to do a lot of time off the motorcycle, the Forma Adventure is a much better choice. Comparing the protection of the two, hands down, the Corozal is more protective than the Forma Adventure by a pretty good margin. It's just more secure, and the ankle has more midsole support, has more ankle and shaft support, has more internal padding that helps the boot sort of feel a little bit more rigid. This boot is just much more protective, particularly in the ankle area. And then segueing out of that into something else that's important, the value on the two. The price points are really similar, but I feel like the value equation on the two is also very similar. They both do exactly what they're supposed to do at roughly the same price point with no surprises. And they've been around for a while, so I've got a good history of working with them, both seeing how they last out in the field and getting customer feedback on them. Some summary comments on them. Let me move these two out of the way. Now, they're very similar on paper. They're very different in how they feel and behave on the motorcycle, and they're also very different, in my opinion, on who they're for, what customers should use them, what riders should use them. First of all, this is a hit product, and what I mean by that is Forma came out with this product a long time ago. They were very clever in that they saw the market developing and they built a boot for a specific customer within that market, did a very good job, and the thing took off. Over time, they've made small iterative changes to them, but it's still a very popular boot, sells like crazy. I believe it is the #1 selling adventure touring boot in the US. And I don't have the exact statistics to back that up, but I have a pretty good idea. But anyway, this is a hit product, and kudos to Forma for having something that's such a winner. This is more of the, hey, we need a power ballad at a $320 kind of boot. But Alpinestars is a tremendously capable company, and they've done a very good job of it. There are some products in their line that I'm not a huge fan of, but there are some other products, this one included, that I think that they've really knocked it out of the park. So I like both of these boots very much, but they're for different people. Now, the Forma Adventure is really, this is a touring boot, and Forma pretty much says that on their website. I believe that they are correct when they say that. This is a very light, soft boot for very light adventure touring, emphasis on very, or even touring. This is a great touring boot. It's a great photography boot for walking around. It does not have a lot of protection, does have a lot of comfort. So you must know going in that if you're going to drop your 550-pound bike on you, that this isn't going to do a lot for you. The Corozal, on the other hand, is more protected. Now, it's still not going to do a ton if you drop a 550-pound bike on you, but this is more aimed at the adventure touring rider that is doing some off-road riding. I'd call this 80-20, maybe even 90-10, and I would say that this is probably 70-30, maybe 75-25. Of course, you can push the boundary a little bit on that, but you're definitely doing so at your own awareness and your own risk. The rest of the characteristics of them, build quality, comfort, fit, durability, those things, they're all very good. Punching much above their weight for both of these models. This is at the $300 price point, and both choices are great. I just think that it is important for us to do something that the IROC guy doesn't do, which is to really point out that you need to think about the type of riding you're doing and carefully match your gear to it. And that's one of the things that we're here for, to help you with. And so with that, I'm going to wrap up. We are Atomic-Moto, www.atomic-moto.com, home of the Bombers. I hope you like this dogfight between the Forma Adventure and the Alpinestars Corozal. We have a great YouTube channel. We'd love it if you click like on this video and click subscribe to catch future ones. Ring that bell. We're a small shop, but very customer service focused, and we actually like to answer the phone and answer emails and talk about product. We don't sell everything. Our focus is gear and boots. So if you have a question, you can either contact us by phone or by email, and we'll do our best to answer those questions to you. And I like to say at the end of every video, we hope to see you out somewhere wearing either one of these on your motorcycle. Take care.